The warrior and the broken shield. The shield cracked with a sound that did not belong on a battlefield. It was not the ring of steel or the scream of wood splitting, it was the sound of belief breaking. For a heartbeat, the world stood still. Dust hung in the air like frozen breath. The warrior stared at the jagged line running through the face of his shield, and for the first time in his life, fear did not come from the enemy in front of him, it came from within. Because a warrior without a shield was not just exposed, he was unfinished. They used to chant his name before the battles began. Men beat their chests, children climbed rooftops, and old women whispered prayers when he passed. He was known as Arven of the North Road, the man whose shield had never failed. It was said that arrows bent away from it, that blades shattered upon it, that even fire hesitated before touching its surface. Kings trusted it more than walls. Soldiers stood taller when it was near. And Arven believed, quietly but deeply, that as long as the shield stood whole, so would he. The battlefield where it broke was not grand. No banners. No heroic music of history. Just mud, fog, and men who were tired of fighting wars they no longer understood. The enemy came fast, desperate and silent. Arven moved as he always had, shield forward, sword low, feet steady. He blocked, struck, advanced. Everything felt familiar. Too familiar. That was when the blow came. Heavy. Wrong. It struck the shield dead center, and something inside it gave way. A thin fracture crawled across its surface like lightning frozen in metal. Arven felt it before he saw it. The shield vibrated strangely in his arm, no longer solid, no longer trustworthy. Another blow came, then another. The crack widened. Wood beneath steel groaned like an old tree in a storm. When the enemy blade struck again, the shield split. Not shattered, split. Uneven. Cruel. Broken enough to matter. The battle did not stop for Arven's realization. It rushed past him. He fought on instinct, pulling the damaged shield up again and again, but each impact sent pain through his arm. When the fighting finally moved away, leaving the ground soaked and silent, Arven stood alone. He looked down at the shield that had defined him, and felt smaller than he ever had. He returned home without the usual cheers. The shield was strapped to his back like a wound he could not hide. People noticed. They always noticed. Eyes lingered. Whispers followed. No one asked what happened, because everyone already knew what it meant. A broken shield meant a broken legend. That night, Arven sat by the fire and stared at the crack. He traced it with his fingers, remembering every battle the shield had seen. Every time it had saved his life. Every time he had hidden behind it. And that was when the thought struck him harder than any enemy ever had. He had trusted the shield more than himself. He slept poorly. Dreams came sharp and cruel. In them, he raised the shield only to watch it crumble to dust. He woke before dawn, heart pounding, hand reaching for something that no longer felt real. At sunrise, he made a decision that shocked everyone who heard it. Arven left the city. No announcement. No replacement shield. Just his sword, worn boots, and the broken shield strapped to his back. He walked north, toward the hills where old roads disappeared and no songs followed. Days passed. Then weeks. The road was unforgiving. Without a whole shield, every danger felt closer. Bandits tested him. Wolves circled him. Once, an arrow grazed his shoulder because the shield did not rise fast enough. Each mistake reminded him of what he had lost. Each wound whispered the same question: who are you without what protected you? One evening, exhausted and bleeding, Arven collapsed near a ruined watchtower. The shield slipped from his back and fell into the dirt. He did not reach for it. He just lay there, staring at the sky, feeling smaller than the stars above him. And for the first time, he admitted the truth out loud. I don't know how to fight without you. The words tasted bitter, but they were honest. A voice answered from the shadows, low and steady. Then it is good that you are finally learning. Arven turned, sword half raised. An old man stepped into the firelight, scarred, bent, carrying no shield at all. The old man sat without asking permission. His movements were slow, deliberate, like someone who had learned long ago that haste wasted strength. He studied Arven, then the broken shield lying in the dirt. You carried that thing like it was your heart, the old man said. Arven said nothing. I've seen warriors like you before, the man continued. Men who think survival comes from what they hold, not who they are. Arven finally looked at him. That shield saved my life. The old man nodded. So did your legs, your eyes, your courage. But you praise the shield and forget the rest. Silence stretched between them. The fire cracked softly. The old man stood and walked to the shield. He lifted it with effort, testing its weight. This thing is done, he said. Not useless, just finished. Arven's jaw tightened. Then so am I. The old man smiled, not kindly, but knowingly. No, you are just exposed. And exposure is where warriors are forged. He tossed the shield back at Arven's feet. You can carry it if you want, or you can learn why you never should have needed it so badly. With that, he walked into the dark and was gone. Arven did not sleep that night. He stared at the shield, then finally did something unthinkable. He left it behind. The next days were brutal. Without the shield's weight, his balance felt wrong. His reflexes betrayed him. He took blows he once would have blocked without thought. But slowly, painfully, something changed. He began to move differently. Faster. Smarter. He stopped standing still and started flowing around danger. He learned to read intent in an enemy's shoulders, not rely on impact. His sword arm grew stronger. His mind sharper. Weeks later, bandits ambushed him on a narrow pass. There were 4 of them. Once, Arven would have planted his shield and advanced. Now he did not stop moving. He turned the terrain into protection. Stone, angle, distance. When the last bandit fled, Arven stood breathing hard, unshielded, and alive. He laughed. The sound surprised him. Seasons passed. Stories began to change. They spoke of a warrior who moved like water, who fought without armor, who could not be cornered. People stopped asking about the shield. One day, Arven returned to the city he had left. He walked the same streets, but this time, no shield shadowed his steps. People stared again, but differently. Not at what he carried, but at how he stood. A young soldier approached him, nervous. Master Arven, where is your shield? Arven smiled. It broke. The soldier frowned. Then how do you fight? Arven placed a hand over his chest, with what was always there. That night, he visited the forge. He did not ask for a new shield. He asked for a small piece of metal, shaped simply. No symbols, no legends. When he left, he carried it, not on his arm, but close to his heart, because the strongest shield is not the one that never breaks. It is the one you no longer need.